Welcome everyone to this new in chess video by Merijn van Delft. Congratulations, of course, to Ding Liren for winning the World Championship after this thrilling and amazing match. Of course, at New Chess, we were reminded by the game that Ding Liren played 6 years ago in the Chinese League, in which he showed it already back then. He was an amazing calculator. That's a game we're now going to see. Jinshi Bai was playing with white, played d4, and Ding Liren with black played knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, bishop b4, the Nimzo Indian. Knight f3, one of the options, black castled, bishop g5, c5, this has all been played before, of course, e3, c takes d4, and now white played queen takes d4, which is less common. The most common move is e takes d4 after after which black plays d5, and the position is fairly normal. But queen takes d4 was played, knight c6, and the queen went back to d3. As Ding Liren explained, his opponent is working quite hard on chess, has interesting ideas in the opening. So yeah, white was clearly had ambitions in this game. h6, bishop h4, and now d5. So black is also trying to get his pieces into play and to gain space with d5. White played rook d1, and as Ding explained, this is the first move that surprised him. a3 is actually the move that he expected. But rook d1 is also perfectly playable. The position is dynamically balanced, chances for both sides, but very sharp, of course. All pieces still on the board. Ding decided to play the typical g5, pushing back the white bishop, and now knight e4. And yeah, of course, g5 is also weakening black's king, but black is playing for the initiative, fighting for the initiative. Now, Jinshi Bai found the best reply in knight d2. And here, Ding had to solve some problems. So Ding was out of book here, that's for sure. He had the impression that white was still in his preparation, but soon white started to think as well. So this game was not preparation or anything. It was a real over-the-board fight. Knight c5 is played, which pushes back the white queen, queen c2, and now d4. Now it's actually white who needs to be careful to get his pieces into play and to get his king into safety. White continued with knight f3, which is pinning the black d pawn. And here, there's actually only one move for black to keep his game going. And actually, you can pause the video at crucial moments if you want to think about the move yourself. This would be such a moment. Well, what should black do? Black played e5 to keep d4 defended. And now white needs to come up with something. In the game, he played knight takes e5, which means that we should first briefly mention bishop takes e5, which was an alternative. After knight takes, black should actually continue with rook e8, followed by quite some complications, which are fine for black. So in the game, knight takes e5 was played, and here we have arrived at a crucial moment. So please pause the video if you want to think about it for yourself, and simply continue. Well, black decided to sacrifice his queen with d takes c3, grabbing the knight. Of course, white took on d8. And here, I should actually mention that if white would have taken on c6, both players actually saw that the black has an amazing reply, which is bishop f5. And suddenly the tactics are clearly favoring black. Black is winning here. I'll leave that for you to work out. Rook takes c8 was played in the game. Black took on b2 with check, and this was actually a very crucial moment in the game for white. Here, white, in fact, made the only mistake of the game, after which black got an amazing initiative. Well, the thing is, white went for king to e2, but he should have played rook back to d2. Well, then the game would continue. Rook d8, and here knight f3. Well, this actually continues for quite a bit. I'll show you a few more moves. Bishop g4. Now white should actually eliminate this dangerous pawn from b2. Black can exchange on f3. Black can actually win back the queen on d2. And after these mass exchanges, another check, king c1. And after knight to b4, black is still one pawn down, but he has enough activity for the pawn. In the game itself, white played king e2, and this is met by rook takes d8, queen takes b2. And now the real show begins. So here Ding Liren played a move that he had seen in advance, and a move that he suspected, that he suspects his opponent had missed. So another crucial moment. And the answer is knight a4 double exclamation mark. The point is, black is starting a direct attack against white's king. He could have won back the queen with rook d2 instead of knight a4, but knight a4 is much stronger. Queen step to c2, and now knight c3 check, pretty much forcing the king to go to f3, and we arrive at another crucial position. Here you need to come up with something, and Ding Liren actually had seen this move in advance, and yeah, it's more or less the star move of the game. What do you think? Well, it's rook d4. What a move. In your face. It's actually, the first point is if you take the rook, you take back with the knight. With a pretty knight fork, you win the queen. So that's not a possibility. And if you play something neutral, let's say a4, you have g4 check. Knight takes g4, bishop takes g4, checkmate. So the rook cannot be taken, and there's a very strong mating to threat. Well, white played h3 to prevent the checkmate. Black continued h5, and that's renewing the mating threat. The bishop went back to h2 to create a square on g3, but now the real attack starts. g4 check. Now actually white can exchange on g4, but that's literally not changing anything. So you get similar or the same line, in fact. So we just continue with king g3 as was played in the game. Now there's another key move you need to find with black to keep your attack going. So what do you think? Well, it's rook d2, another great rook move. And if you take this rook, there's knight e4 check, again winning the queen. So again, the rook cannot be taken. The queen went to b3, and now there's a bunch of checks that black's going to give. Knight e4 check. The king now went to h4. I had a brief look at king f4 instead, but after rook takes f2, you're going to be checkmated as well. Well, actually you should play knight f3, but black is just going to take this knight, and yeah, this is also a lethal attack on white's king. If you don't play knight f3, you take on e4, there's a pretty checkmate in the middle of the board. Bishop f5 check, king goes to d5. Yeah, that was the story. Rook d8 check. Well, now you have to give up your knight, you have to give up your bishop, but then it's a pretty checkmate in the middle of the board. So instead the king went to h4, And there's more checks coming up. Bishop e7 check. King needs to take on h5. And now there's actually several ways of winning. But the way Ding Liren chose was clearly the most pretty way. He played king to g7. This looks super slow, but the idea is to actually get the bishop from c8 out of the way, and then the rook from a8, which is not participating yet, is threatening to go to h8. So how does this look? What does this look like? Bishop f4 is played. Instead, if white takes on c6, indeed there is bishop f5, like I was just pointing out. Now you can try to block the a8 rook out of play with the funny knight b8. And again, there's several ways of winning. I think Ding Liren, in his notes for New in Chess magazine, was pointing out rook d8. But here I spotted, or at least my my engine spotted, a direct checkmate. There's in fact bishop g6 check, king needs to take, f5 check, king needs to go, bishop d6 check, king needs to go back, and rook takes f2, checkmate. Another pretty checkmate. But this is not the last checkmate you're going to see. We're up for more. Bishop f4 is played in the game. I think you see, by now you see bishop f5 coming. The idea is rook to h8, checkmating soon. So now white actually gets the opportunity to give a check. And after king h7, it looks like white is sort of fighting back, but his king on h5 is really stuck. It's going to be checkmated soon anyway. Yeah, what to do with white in the game? He took on b7, trying to get his counterattack going. And now black played rook takes f2. And that's another pretty thing about this game. You're expecting an immediate checkmate. It's not immediately checkmate, but the attack simply keeps going. Bishop to g5 was tried because all sorts of checkmates were coming up. Yeah, especially knight g3 check. That was the main threat. And here we have another crucial moment for you to think about. And the solution is rook to h8. So every single black piece is joining the attack now. And with king to g7, black is threatening the final checkmate. Knight takes f7 was played. Let us have a brief look at queen takes c6. Here you actually play king g8 check. Let's say the bishop goes in between, and now indeed you have this knight to g3 checkmate. What else? Well, in the game, knight takes f7 was played. Black gave the check with bishop to g6, bishop g6 check. The king took on g4. If you go to h4 with the king first, there's another king g8 check. Knight takes h8. Bishop takes g5. Watch this. The king needs to take on g4. And now a super pretty knight e5 checkmate. And as Ding Liren described in his notes, for many days after this game, the game started popping up in his head. All sorts of variations, new variations came up in his head, and he had to refute all of them. So yeah, an amazing experience. White took on g4 instead, and now after knight e5, white in fact resigned because he's checkmated. Let me show you how this works. First of all, if the king goes back to h4, there's another version of king g8 check. Knight takes h8, and another bishop takes c5, checkmate. We just saw the same picture, but with the king on g4. Now we have this picture with the king on h4. And there's one more checkmate. If white would have taken on e5, then black plays bishop f5 check, king h5, king g8 check once more, bishop to h6, and then knight to g3, checkmate. So I think at this point nobody is surprised that this game became an instant classic 6 years ago, game of the year, with fantastic notes by Ding Liren. Final point I'd like to make, Ding Liren, always a gentleman. He was giving a lot of credit to his opponent as well. And he mentioned at the end of his analysis that he still considers Kasparov Topalov Wijk aan Zee 1999 still as the most beautiful game. But yeah, he was very, very happy with this one. And now, 6 years later, he even became world champion himself. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.